Today in the crypto space, we see the market taking a bit of a dip. Bitcoin down below that $70,000 mark, down approximately 4%, and Ethereum right around that $3,500 level, however, down approximately 5%. The rest of the crypto space, the altcoins, are pretty much in a dip as well. ICP, AVAX, and many others here are coming down to lower levels. However, we have Altcoin looking really strong, up approximately 7%. In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, but more importantly, I want to talk about one altcoin, one project that is looking super bullish and potentially looking for that breakout to the upside after a retracement, and that project is called Arweave. So you know what? Let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency. We talk about Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunities. Whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click that bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 7:30 Eastern, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover here on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. You can hit me up on the socials. The links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. All right, guys, let's begin. Let's take a look at the top 100 first to see what is going on here with this general market, because as we see Bitcoin taking a bit of a dip and Ethereum coming down to those lower levels, basically those heavyweights are dragging down the market. And what do we expect here in the immediate short term? Do we expect a continuation to the downside? Bitcoin coming down, you know, the weekend was pretty good to us, leaving a nice CME gap that at this moment we're basically filling it up. Do we get a nice little bounce off this level? Are the sell-offs, you know, done? And the potential is that, you know, we potentially could be going sideways for the next little while and accumulate and potentially get a nice bull run continuation to the upside after a nice little consolidation, and so on and so forth. Okay, guys, so we'll take a look at the altcoin market in general, then we'll jump into the Bitcoin price to see what we could expect in the upcoming days. And of course, tonight, guys, we'll take all the requests that you may have. If you have any projects you want me to cover, tonight at 7:30 Eastern is a great time and place to make those requests, and I'll put them in top priority. All right, guys, let's begin. All right, so let's scrape right through this top 100 here. Let's see what's going on. Bitcoin, Ethereum coming down. BNB kind of going sideways, looking pretty good. XRP looking pretty good. You know, so what I'm seeing here is that a lot of projects, although they may have been dipping down a little bit based off of Bitcoin and Ethereum, okay. So for example, XRP is not showing that weakness, but look at Solana coming down to the previous low, still okay as long as it doesn't break below the previous low, the previous local low, and make a lower low. Then things are not looking great. Doge taking a bit of a dip, that's totally fine. Can we use previous price action as support? Yes, it's down 7%. Altcoin looking very strong. However, do we get into a consolidation phase for a continuation to the upside after, or are we rolling over here and finally succumbing to Bitcoin's wrath, which is a dip, right? So Altcoin looking good in the last little while. However, no matter how bullish the project is, they tend to want to retrace. Cardano looking pretty good, up 2%, but you can see how the structure is still grinding to the upside, higher highs and higher lows, so nothing really to be afraid of. AVAX is in a fairly similar boat, retracement after a nice little grind to the upside. Bit by bit, we are going to expect that the rallies are going to outperform the retracements. And guys, if you do the quick maths, that's exactly how you get an upward sloping trend. And that this is pretty much what we're seeing here. Same with SHIB, same with Polkadot, same with pretty much everything else here, guys. We're making higher lows after making higher highs. Polygon Matic making a higher high, now we're making a higher low. Near Protocol still grinding to the upside within structure. ICP, in fact, is the one that potentially is looking more bearish than the most. down 8.6%, but it's not just the percentage that bothers me, it's breaking structure to the downside. So ICP is one to keep on your watch list. If you didn't buy in and if you're not holding, you might be able to get into a good buy the dip opportunity in the up and coming days, as we potentially may see the continuation of this sell-off. I'm expecting maybe another 24 hours, maybe before we get a confirmation of a continuation. Guys, be prepared to deploy capital. That's all I got to say. Be prepared. I always try to keep about 10% in stablecoin just in case we get fire sale opportunities. And the only way to generate or raise capital that way is to take profit. On green days, make sure you take that profit. Take a bit off the top on all your major gainers. That way you have a stash of cash ready to go, ready to deploy when you get these red days such as today. Now, even today, although it is a bit red, it's not a huge red day. Yes, we got a bit of red yesterday. We're getting a little bit more today, but really it's nothing major. As I'm saying, look, a Filecoin made a strong higher high and a bit of a retracement. Same with ETH Classic, made a strong higher high and maybe making a bit of a retracement here. Maybe it starts breaking structure more, but as of now, as of yet, we're still okay here. Look at Arbitrum, and the list goes on. XLM, BitTensor going sideways after this. Bitcoin and Ethereum are selling off like this. We see BitTensor Tau not even flinching. The reality is it's still holding up. IMX as well, Render as well. And as we keep on scrolling down to this market, I can see that the structure of the price action is still intact. We're still okay here, guys. So, you know, the worst thing to be doing is selling off on red days, because as you can see that as long as we hold a nice bottom on this price action, we could get right back to previous highs. In fact, get back into higher highs and in price discovery for a lot of these projects. Look how bullish Phantom is looking today, 8.3%. Guys, I've been buying into Boo in the last little while. The decentralized exchange for the Phantom network should be one of the major gainers if the Phantom ecosystem continues to show strength here. Thorchain Rune going sideways like a stable coin for the last little while, and you can see as we keep on going down, Celestia coming down to the bottom of the range, 7%. Core also coming down a little bit, but still holding good within this range. Within the range, both of them are holding range, and obviously dipping down. The question is, should we be deploying capital? If you look at Core, in fact, and Core might be one of those better opportunities, given that it's down 30%. The market tends to find true value. You know, it came out, yes, it rallied up, now we're coming back down, the hype is over, maybe now we come back to true value and see what Core is really worth, and give it a couple of days to see where this bottom actually lands. What else do we have here? We have Floki retracing. Floki's been doing well in the last little while. Algorand hasn't woken up yet. So we're seeing that Algo's waking up. Let it do its thing. You know, it's been at the bottom of the range. Same with Polygon Matic. You know, we're seeing a lot of the projects that haven't really gotten their real move. They're slowly grinding away and slowly building some momentum. So I'm hoping that Algo finally wakes up. We have Say kind of at the bottom of the range, another one that I wouldn't mind buying in. I'm being very, very patient here, but also I'm not really that worried. Why? Because I can get into ecosystem projects. What I mean by that is that if you look at the market cap here, we're right around the $2 billion market cap, give or take, or depending on the day, right? And then all of a sudden you might say, you know, what kind of, you know, X factors can I get out of this? How much gains can I make? The reality is you're not going to make as many if you get into a small cap project, even if it's within the Say ecosystem. So if you think Say is bullish and eventually Say will, you know, maybe 5, 10x or whatever, if you get into a lower cap altcoin within the ecosystem, you could expect it to do many more multiples. So this is where we're at right now. I'm hunting for volatility. I'm not looking for stable coins. I am not looking for projects that are such large cap that the reality is it's not going to make me life-changing gains. Here we're here. This bull run, we're in a potential bull run here, guys. This is the time to make some critical decisions. Are you here to make a difference, or are you here to be, you know, within the status quo, within the average, within the stability of the market? I'm looking for volatility here, guys. So stay tuned with me. Of course, tonight we'll be hunting for projects. We'll be hunting for setups, because what we're looking for is nice risk to reward ratios so we can get in. Beam coming down, still within range, still within structure. Look at all this green and still within structure. Although we are dipping, nothing should be really fearful here. You should be chilled. You should have a plan. What happens next? 8% here, 8% there. CFX, SNX coming down more or less 8%, but still within structure. We see CFX not looking as good, given the fact that it could break down below this previous low, but it's still okay. It's still okay. We have WorldCoin coming down for a bit of a dip. I'm not too interested in the narrative, but all good. Pith coming down a little bit as well, down 7.5%, but Pith should be a good gainer. And Ronin coming down a little bit, but still within structure. Guys, overall, the general consensus is for me, yes, we're seeing a bit of a dip, maybe 5 to 10% on average, but the reality is a majority of this market is still within structure. Higher low, higher highs. The trend is your friend until it's not. Do we have any indication that the trend is not our friend? Let's move on here, guys. I know you're here to talk about crypto news and price action, so let's jump right into the charts. Let's see what's going on here. Bitcoin at the end of the day is going sideways still. Guys, yesterday I went live and I did my pre-recorded video around this time, and you noticed that I did feel a lack of confidence in this area. This area does not give me confidence. Volume is diminishing, volume is coming down. We are critical breakout levels. I'm not saying that we can't break out, but I'm not getting indications. I'm not getting indications that the market is totally convinced of a run here, a breakout to the upside. And to be honest, even this consolidation that many people are talking about, this potential triangular formation, it's very underdeveloped, guys. I'm expecting a bit more peaks and valleys. I want a few more touches on trend lines before I can classify it as a triangular consolidation. All right, guys, let's look at this in a little bit more detail. You know, rushing a trade is probably the worst thing. I saw a lot of people online rushing for this setup and looking at it as a triangular setup. Guys, I feel like it was way too tight, and I had this using this reference point. This is a very tight consolidation, extremely squished. You're not giving it enough time to actually form some bottoms and tops, and this is one of the reasons why I left these at spider lines, because spider lines, you know, although it could be hypothetical, putting it right here, putting a trend line right here only after, you know, one top to maybe you can classify this as a top that needs to be considered, but I want more data. There's not enough data here, guys, so let it kind of consolidate. If we close this candle the way it is right now, by the end of the close, the daily close in about 5 hours or so, guys, that's a very bearish candle. That's a very engulfing bearish candle. If you close like that, it's likely we get a continuation to the downside, and all good, because it's not me. It doesn't mean that I'm expecting a huge dump. What I'm expecting is for it to stay within range. And why is that the case? Because the momentum stuck in the chop zone. Look at the purple line. It's stuck here in the 50% mark of this chop zone, and of course the volatility, you know, is also stuck here. Although we do get volatility, look at the orange line, up and down, nice volatility. However, as long as the momentum is dead in the water, going sideways in the chop zone, what kind of volatility do you expect? It's going to go up and down. The price will go up and down based on the volatility, but the momentum is not there, so we don't have a clear direction of the momentum. It's sideways, so not worth trading, guys. The market is in hard mode. The best time now is to wait for the breakout, wait for confirmations, and start doing research on low cap, mid cap, you know, even micro cap altcoins that have good fundamentals, and do those deep dives. Now is the time to invest in yourself and invest in some of the knowledge that will get you fundamentally bullish on some new projects that are existing here in the crypto space. Bitcoin right now is taking a break. Let it do its thing, and then we'll jump on it when it's ready. What I'm looking for is a sign of an expansion. You can see that we've got a nice green expansion that took us, look at the wave in the background, the green expansion that took us to overbought conditions. Do we get back to overbought? Or do we get a bearish expansion coming in from the top like we did here that pushes the price down to get to oversold? This is anybody's game right now. It's a 50-50 coin toss, and that is called gambling. I'm not a gambler here, guys. I want an edge. I want the market to give me some indication that we're going up or down, and then I will allocate my capital accordingly based on the indications. Now, price action wise, you know, price action is king. You know, we attempted a higher high. We did not get that one on this previous high. We did get above the previous local high, but reality is, again, as long as the momentum is stuck in the chop zone with low volume moves like this, and the MACD is giving us tons of fake outs once, twice. Look at that. EMA is still facing down with red histogram bar finally opening up again. Guys, what more do we need here to say be careful, caution, given the fact that there's tons of fake outs happening in this price action? So I'm not totally convinced. I'm anticipating a consolidation. I still have a bullish thesis, which is as long as we stay above this thick white line, you know what, we are good. The only thing is that we should accumulate a bag as close as possible to the thick white line. That way we can put a stop loss right nice and tight right below it, and if we do fall, no big deal. We mitigate all our losses and incur a little bit of a loss for potential good gainer if we do break out in a bullish, with a bull flag in a bullish way, breaking out to the upside, which is very possible here, guys. You know, bull flags are bullish continuation patterns, even symmetrical triangles leading in from a nice expansion move, a nice impulse. That way, we usually get an expansion continuation to the upside. So, but we're just a bit early here, guys. And while Bitcoin's taking a bit of a break, hanging out, doing its thing, let's start doing that research and looking for opportunities in the altcoin market. All right, guys, today's video, let's take a look at Arweave. Arweave is one of those projects that I've been talking about for so long, alongside many other projects, including Filecoin. Filecoin and Arweave, for me, were one of the projects that I coupled in the same narrative, and I started looking into those projects really early on because I like the value proposition. And obviously, these types of convictions do eventually pay off, even in downward sloping price actions such as this. You look at the fundamentals, you look at the volume, and market participation is picking up right around here. You're getting interested, you see peaks and valleys in volume, and then you start changing trend. You start breaking above the 200 daily, which is looking good. A lot of the bulls use the 200 daily as confirmation of trend, and all of a sudden we got a nice huge expansion. The question is, do we come back down to be able to buy the dip? Now, we do have some good critical levels of horizontal support. Let's start off by including a lot of this price action, the entire chart. Let's put it right on here so we can see where we're at in this cycle. The reality is we didn't get to all-time highs, right? We're not obviously in our price discovery. We had a bit of resistance based on all of this cluster. You can see all this sideways price action, which is not even that much volume. If you notice here, it would have been nice to see a bit of a volume spike in the volume profile. It's not even that much. You can see that Arweave, as a lower cap project, in comparison obviously to multiple billion-dollar projects, it's still small. We still have potential growth here. Now, if we exclude all of this, okay, and we just focus on what's happening right here, we can actually get some data to work with. Let's do that. Let's kind of squish this over. Let's isolate the importance in this zone right here, and let's focus on volume profiles. Let's look at momentum and see what's going on. We're above the 200 daily. Just for a recap, we're into a nice consolidation right here. So far, we got two tops and two bottoms that we can play with, which is better than not having it. And I like the fact that they're both very horizontal. What I mean by that is that you can invalidate your thesis very easy, even from a bullish or even from a bearish perspective. You know your range. Your range is tops and bottoms, clearly, no diagonal whatsoever. And that's what I prefer, and we get a lot of clarity right there. We're building in a little bit of volume into here. If you kind of zoom in, you can see that there is a bit of volume coming in. Let me kind of stretch this out so it exaggerates the volume profile, and you'll see what I mean when it does that, when it readjusts. Give it a second. There we go. It kind of fills it in. You can see that we're building a bit of volume all the way, even beginning from down here. The reality is that the majority of the supply and demand comes from these lows. This is where the majority of the market participation got in, and they enjoyed a nice expansion to the upside where we got a huge move up, which was really healthy. Now we're getting to sideways consolidation. Now, if you're a bull, you know exactly what to say. This is a bull flag. It's very possible, and let's entertain that idea right now. If this is a bull flag, we expect a continuation to the upside. You are currently at range lows within the range of the bull flag, which is really a really good risk to reward opportunity. So let's highlight that opportunity by saying, look, if we stay here and we do not break below, I'm interested in buying in this level. Guys, we're there. This is the time to potentially take a bit of risk. Now, what is the risk? Is there risk associated to buying in right now? Well, we're holding above the 50 EMA, which is good on the daily, which is the pink line right here, which is healthy. We do have an empty volume gap below, and the volume gap ends right about $16.77, which means that there's risk here below, and we're going to highlight that level by just doing one of these. Now I'm going to alter this. I'm going to make this very clear for you guys so that you follow along with me and you understand my logic. We have a bit of price action right here. Now, I understand that this is all weak based on these two bottoms. We have potential support, but the reality is that I am more comfortable putting it right here because these bottoms could act as support. Even though we do break down, it could be a failed breakdown and they get a nice bounce right off these bottoms like we have done in the past with this wick, and then start running to the upside. So there's a little bit a level of ambiguity here that bothers me. And there's no chart that's absolutely perfect. We just try to find some confluence. We try to get some confidence with the confluence, and that way we can get into a trade based on that confluence and that confidence, right? So here we are. We see an empty space, and then we get a wall of buy orders, a wall of market participation ready to defend. And we got the 200 daily. Look at the orange line creeping up nice and slowly, which means that at any moment this could also act as support. Do we fall through, get support right now? Do we hang out here for a little while longer and eventually allow the 200 daily to creep up a little bit higher? And it could happen over time. We've seen this happen many times. It creeps up, and then sometimes it even flatlines at one point. It does one of these and does one of these, and it goes flat, right? So it could be very possible. So we have some support based on that orange line. Now, based on what we're saying here is that a continuation is very possible, right? We got a nice expansion here, a nice leg to the upside, and then we look at this as a flag, and then we, maybe expand to the upside again. And then what we do start looking at is, well, we might hit $83, which is pretty good. We might want to use extension levels, swing high. We can use here swing high to swing low, more or less, right? We start looking at the 1.27, which is right here, the 1.618, the 2.618, the 3. You get where my point is. What extension levels? When you get into this zone, all you really could use is previous price action. And the previous price action is previous bull run and bear market price action all the way back here. And the reality is, the more we start looking at this, the more we start to realize that once we start breaking out, we're getting into price discovery. Once we start breaking out, we start surpassing Ethereum, because Ethereum is right around this level, trying to get it to its previous high. Are we going to get into a different cycle here on Arweave and start breaking out? It's a super bullish project. It finally got a nice, decent upgrade to its tech stack, so offering a lot of good fundamentals there. It's separating itself from Altcoin, which has been a big brother for such a long time, which is good. And then all of a sudden, you can see that we're in a bull flag and a nice consolidation. So what would get me more bullish? Let's add more value to this setup. What would get me more bullish is more market participation. Yes, I do see that there is some, and I highlighted that here right into this area. We do see a pickup of volume, but guys, I would like to see a little bit more. I would like to see this grow a little bit as we consolidate in this range. And this what leads me to believe that maybe we go sideways for a little bit longer. So you have to commit. Either you're going to be a range trader, buy now, sell the top of the range, possible. Or you're going to buy now, take a bit of profits of the top of the range, trail up a stop loss, and anticipate that we're going to get that breakout, right? And then leave the rest of the margin in, the rest of the trade in, and that way you have exposure for continuation to the upside. That is also very possible. Another way that you should think about it is, what about if we do break down? What kind of position size should we get in at this current moment at about $31? Should we get all in, or should we preserve a bit of capital just in case we do come down to about $20, maybe about $16, $17? All of this is very possible given the fact that we do have this volume gap right around 22, all the way down to 16.77. We do have a lack of support below for some support to get that bounce, and the only area of support that we can kind of trust, and remember, with a certain degree of certainty, is all the way down to about $16.77, which is the majority of the supply and demand that we see here to act as support, right? All of this market participation right into here. Now, if you look at the momentum, we're exiting the chop zone. We can see clearly that the momentum is in a downwards trend. Look at the yellow line. We can see it's downwards trending to the downside, which means that if we continue going down, we're going to be exiting the chop zone. And as you guys know, the chop zone, which is the 50% mark, is where we usually get sideways price action. Now, that's something that you got to consider, is if the momentum goes sideways here in the chop zone, but the range is decent, you could trade the range. Now, a lot of the times the range is not decent. This one seems to be pretty good. Let's do a measurement. Swing high to swing low. You're looking at a 35% range where you can range trade tops and bottoms. If it hangs out here a little bit more, you can long the bottoms to the tops and short the tops to the bottoms a couple of times, and then prepare for a breakout. What I'm saying here is, if we get oversold, we're going to exit to the downside, and we're coming down to about $15. If you see the purple line get oversold and the momentum gets oversold, the volatility is definitely here. You can see that we're definitely in oversold conditions on volatility, which means that it's pushing down and oversold already. Let's see what the momentum is going to be doing in the next little while. Are we going sideways, or are we going to get completely slightly oversold. Regardless, right now is not a bad time to take a bit of risk. That's all it is. Now we look at the MACD, which is suggesting the trend strength. EMAs are facing down. You can see that we're nice and open with red histogram bars led by the Bitcoin dip. And this is what we're seeing here market wide, that we're getting a bit of a dip throughout the market. Arweave right now is down approximately 10%, one of the bigger dippers in the last little while. So what am I expecting? I'm expecting if we break down, I'm going to be able to commit to lower levels, and I'm going to put a green arrow. This is where I'm going to be committed to buying the dip. Now, it doesn't have to be accurate, guys. You know, if we see signs of bottoms as we come down and we get a nice double bottom or something like that with nice bullish divergence, with the momentum oversold, with bullish divergence and an EMA cross with a green histogram bar and so on and so forth, and lots of confluence, you know, touching the 200 daily and so on. You know, if you get all of that information, it's okay to pull the trigger and buy a little bit more. And just even still reserve a bit more capital of that buy order for lower levels just in case. So what I'm trying to say is, if you start DCAing, you buy a little bit now, but your invalidation is clear, you can put a stop loss right underneath $29, and you know, and that way, you know, if it does break down, you could basically mitigate a ton of risk, which means that you're going to avoid maybe a 46% drop, and then you can reaccumulate down here, or you can get in with a very, very small bag right now, hope we get a bounce, and then deal with it differently, take profit, you get my point, or you get into this small bag, and when we come down, you double down, triple down, and that way you improve your average cost for your position, and that way you have a bigger bag, your cost for your bag is a lot cheaper, and then when you get the bounce, you're in profits a lot sooner. So that's the only way to play this right now. There's a lot of clarity, and I know the bullish sentiment is that this is a bull flag, and I do agree that this is a bull flag at this current moment, but you never know, because it's all about probability. Bull flags do break down bearish once in a while, and it could happen this time based off of what Bitcoin has been doing. Maybe Bitcoin comes down a little bit further, or even stays within range, and maybe, you know, so does Arweave, and Arweave goes sideways for the next little while for another pop to the upside. All right, guys, if I've offered you any value in this video, do the channel a massive favor, slap the like button. It obviously does help out with the algorithm and getting this channel going. If you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description below. Feel free to join the Discord, guys. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. Take care, guys. Have a good one. And don't forget, buy the dip.